Nice. Big show. Go live with that one over to TikTok. We'll go live right here, everybody, for a great show here on a Tuesday as we go live on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of them across the board, even over on LinkedIn, where we don't get any love on LinkedIn. We've got to figure out LinkedIn over here. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Patrick Carr Show on a Tuesday. And if you missed us yesterday, we were very fortunate enough to now get Anthony on a mic behind the scenes so everybody can hear all the wonderful things that he has to say. All right. I know sometimes he has been a part of the show and you haven't had the opportunity to hear him, but today and every day moving forward, you will have the opportunity. So you're welcome, everyone. All right. You're welcome. So we got a great show here for you today. A lot of great stories to get to. We're going to have to cover the exciting story from yesterday already. The cruise ship is going to be number one coming up for y'all. Daily Wire is doing a bunch of layoffs. We're going to talk about some of the stories behind that and what you may not notice. We had the Met Gala. Basically should just be like a lunchroom full of weirdos all getting together to be able to talk about and, I don't know, raise money for things that nobody actually cares about in the United States. Delta Airlines, I appreciate them consulting with me and listening to my advice, Anthony, coming through. We're going to talk about the big change coming up in their policy on Delta Airlines. If you travel, want to stick around for that one. If you didn't know, it is Cinco de Mayo, everybody, and which means that it is a day that Americans will use as an excuse to continue to drink more than any other country in the world. But it's not celebrated basically anywhere else. So we'll talk a little bit about Cinco de Mayo, what it means here in America. Probably going to be a short segment as pretty much we're going to be talking about drinking. And finally, a story that is near and dear to my heart to round out the day. Anthony Bourdain is coming to the big screen. His tragic death just years back. I am very much looking forward to seeing this movie. I'll talk about the movie and why, in my opinion, it's a part of something, a bigger picture that is happening right now in cinema. As we get away from the Met Gala and hopefully towards more movies and people like this, I think there is something special in this movie. And like I said, I'm going to speak to what I believe it means on a bigger picture. So the first story that we have to start with here today is going to be the cruise ship from hell continues, everybody. If you have not been following the show, yesterday we had the story on this cruise ship that is off the Cape Verde right now, off the African coast, and it is sitting in the water right now with 150 passengers on this ship. What's the name of this virus that hantavirus? The hantavirus, that's right. So we've got the hantavirus, which is a virus that usually is transmitted by like rats and small rodents. We have some people that back like April, they get sick. And then another person gets sick in the latter part of April. And then it continues into May. And all of a sudden, the ship realizes we got a virus problem going on here. As we covered the story yesterday, we only had 5 potential cases, 2 of which had been confirmed. That number has grown, everybody. So that number has now grown to 7 cases, possibly, on this ship. And it's still sitting out there in the water, Anthony. All right? So these people are on this ship. You tell me they're putting out videos now. They're quarantined, but yet more and more people are getting sick by the day right now. You're sitting there going, I can't do a damn thing right now except sit in my room where they tell me to, like a nice little kid. And meanwhile, people are getting sick and possibly dying around you, and you have to just sit there. Nothing you can do about it. Let me tell you what, if you have parents, if you had son or daughter on that ship, and you're sitting there going, what, we just have to wait to see how it goes? There's no end in sight for this one right now, by the way. There's no country that wants to take them because nobody wants to be responsible for an outbreak that happens inside of their country. And so right now, you've got a bunch of scared people who've done nothing wrong, and they are sitting on a boat with no plan to get them to shore and no country that wants them. Scary stuff, brother.
Have you seen the video? It's kind of
it's
heartbreaking.
Is it?
Yeah, the man just he's just in his room and he's just begging for help. He just wants to get out, and he's just like, and he's like tearing up. He's like, this is my life, and I'm just stuck here, and I don't know what's going to happen to me. He's like, I don't know.
Gosh, it's just an absolutely brutal story. A British crew member was in need of urgent medical care, and a passenger from the UK remained in critical but stable condition following another suspected outbreak of the hantavirus on this ship. So 2 more, like I said, have gone down in the last 24 hours. I don't think somebody's just going into critical urgent care, everybody, just because it's a random act with the exact same symptoms that the other 5 people had. So that means if we can kind of roll with this, you had 5 people, now you've got 7, and everybody is sitting in their room right now. All right, supposedly. So how exactly is this disease being transmitted? Is it person to person now? Do we have a variant of this thing that now is allowing this to be transmitted from person to person? And if that's the case, are these people ever going to get off the ship? How many of them are going to have to die before somebody says, you know what, maybe we should do something about this? Just as a human rights issue, imagine being someone, you decide to take a cruise with your family or something. There's 150 people on this boat, and there ain't a plan to get you anywhere. So I wonder how many people have to die. That's my question here, Anthony. How many? 11? Is it like at 20 people dying? Do we put these people to like? Are we allowed to like? They allowed to what is it, on board, or they allowed to get onto a? They allowed to leave the ship? Like, at what number is it too severe of a number to not keep people on this boat?
Yeah, I don't know. It's they honestly just need to take them out. I know that they're scared about like what if it spreads, but it's like what else are we gonna do? They got to get off this ship and like quarantine them and get them help.
Exactly. Quarantine these individuals, right?
Yeah.
For me, people are going to say, well, I don't want another outbreak in I don't want another outbreak in America. If they listen, I mean, we have a lot of cruise ships that come through Florida, right? Yeah. We have, Port over in Tampa, Port Canaveral, we have Miami. There's cruise ships leaving Florida all the time. And so I'm sure that there's a big worry for those ports for something like this coming back into the country. But when we know that the ship has definitely been exposed to it, why not just set up parameters to make sure these people are quarantined properly and get them off the ship? How long should somebody have to sit there and deal with it? So now if 2 more people die, is that enough to where we're like, okay, it's too severe to leave them on the ship? Is it 4? Is it 5? Or does that mean, Anthony, that 4 or 5 more people die? Do we just let it continue to run on the ship?
And especially like, let's say, just get them off the ship and then quarantine them, figure out who's infected, who's not infected, and then just because like, let's say the people that aren't infected right now on this ship, there's just the longer they stay there, the longer chances that there probably will be, even if they stayed in their room,
which is what they're doing.
And you know how I feel like diseases go everywhere. Like it can go under the door, it could go all the spots. So they're gonna get infected the longer they stay on the ship. So might as well just get them off the ship, get them the help they need. And
yeah, I think that after everything that happened with COVID, and now that this story is starting to get a little bit of traction and what's going on the ship, I think that every country is worried about being that one that, God forbid, this is a variant of the hantavirus that is transmittable from human to human, and maybe it's happening easily. Maybe it's something that we've got a variant here that we really have to be careful of. Do you want to be the country that makes the call to bring these people in, and maybe thousands more die? I get the other side of it. I do. I also get the fear that somebody must be having on there when you see that now 6% of the people that are on that ship or that were on that ship have either died or in critical condition right now. That's not a good thing, especially if you're an elderly person. This is an upper respiratory, or it's a respiratory virus. You've got to be thinking to yourself, man, what if I'm next? Yeah. You start coughing in your room, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, is that happening? Mm-hmm. Or did I just swallow some more the wrong way? And I think about, well, what about little mites or things maybe that you can't see that are moving from room to room? Or is it you're sleeping in like sheets and you don't know if they're clean? What's going on here? Yeah. A lot of questions left unanswered. But the question for me is, if we continue to see this through tomorrow and that number goes to 9 people that are sick or critical condition, and maybe 5 have died by that time, is what then? Mm-hmm. Does it mean that it's more likely that we keep people on a ship if that happens? Or is it more likely that now they're going to go, it's too severe to keep them on the ship and we need to move them into dock and get them into port? I actually think the first part of that's more likely. If more people die, I think it's more likely they're going to keep the people on that ship.
Yeah, which is just even more devastating to me, to be honest.
So then you just let it run through the entire ship for how long?
Yeah. And
Whew.
it's like the people just, it's almost like if more people get infected, more people start dying on the ship. It's like, what then the person who's not sick on that ship is like, am I just gonna wait to die here on the ship? What's
Wait
the
to get it
outcome?
and then hope
Yeah.
that I get then I have to get some antibodies and all that stuff you build up to it.
Yeah, what's the outcome for, what's the plan?
So let's run through this quickly. What do you do, Anthony, if you're like the port, whatever, the master, the harbor master or something, whoever makes this decision? I don't know. It's probably the military involved at this point for countries like this when you talk about a virus or the World Health Organization getting involved. I'm trying to think to myself, what do I do? And I have to admit, I'm not liking what I'm telling myself right now. I keep it out there in the ocean.
Well, it's tricky because this is a British ship, isn't it? And it's like so these people aren't really, they're not going back to their own country. This is going to a random foreign country to them that obviously that foreign country doesn't want them to come into their country.
Great question. So 149 people are on the ship right now. All right. 23 countries are represented by the people that are on the ship.
Wow.
The majority of the people on the ship are British, American, and Spanish passengers, and it is held right now off of Africa's coast next to Cape Verde. Okay. You can actually see the ship from Cape Verde right now, and nobody wants it right now. Mm-hmm. So there's no country that's willing to accept this ship, and so it's sticking right there. But there's a lot of videos and photos. You can see it from the shore right now, and it's just sitting out there. And so it's that's a scary situation. Now, and then I think to myself, what an interesting time that's going to be. What if somebody just decides, I mean, I'm looking at a couple of the pictures right here. If you were a decent swimmer, would you take it? Like, people are dying around you. You're, maybe you're a 33-year-old guy and you're looking at it and going, well, on one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to pick me up in a boat and now I'm off the ship, or I'm going to make it to shore and then I'm good once I get there because they're gonna have to interact with me at some point.
I feel like they'll just put them back on the ship.
But then somebody's gonna have to interact with them. Now somebody has potentially had that virus transferred to them.
I guess so. I don't know.
I just wonder, when does it become like you're in a burning building, right? If 11 people die on that ship, 10 plus people die, and you're sitting there going, there's no end in sight. Yeah. At some point, don't you have to take a risk? Mm-hmm. That to me is where it's going to become it's already very interesting, but even more of an urgent and sad situation if that starts to happen. Yeah. I really don't think that this story is getting enough credit. I'm really happy you found it yesterday. I think it speaks a lot to how we look at each other as humans, and how we treat one another, and also what it's like right now in a post-COVID world. I think in a pre-COVID world, the ship is docked, they quarantine and they do it, but no country right now wants to be responsible for starting another COVID outbreak. Yep. And so this is where we sit right now. Another couple of passengers have fallen ill. Who knows if they're going to die? And then we definitely know now that this virus is not under control on the ship, despite all of the quarantining that they've done on the ship itself. So very sad right here. And a lot of videos that are heartbreaking coming out. Pictures are coming out about this. Let's see what happens in the next 48 hours. We'll cover this story for you, and just hope to God that no more people die from this thing, because really sad stuff here for people who are just trying to take a vacation, and now they are stuck with this. Wow. All right, folks. Our next story is one that I was very interested in. And I've been doing a little thinking about this one. For those of you who are not familiar, the Daily Wire has made substantial layoffs. The Daily Wire is a conservative channel that's spearheaded by Ben Shapiro, and they have made significant layoffs to their team. And what a lot of people are talking about is, because this is such a far right-leaning conservative channel, what does it mean to overall politics right now? One of the things that I was looking at is, what has happened with the viewership, and what role is Daily Wire attempting to play right now? And everybody's talking about the fact that they are losing, let's say, number of views or subscribers has decreased. I want to challenge everybody to look at this from a slightly different angle. And this is somebody who's involved in media. I like to give you an angle that maybe many people are not talking about. See, one of the things that is interesting about how the world has changed, or how media and social media has changed over the last 5 years, is that there used to be a lot more money in the subscriber, the view, watch time. You could be paid by platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and all of these, and you can make really good money from doing that. Well, they kind of got tired of paying creators, and they said, well, we don't really need to do this. So they've really scaled it back. YouTube still allows you to make good money, but you can't run a business anymore on that. And when you see the fact that the amount of money YouTube is paying out has dramatically decreased, what Daily Wire has done is they have turned their model from focusing on subscribers, just like your average person subscribes on YouTube, to people that are subscribing to their paid channel, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to be a Daily Wire member, not just a subscriber. And when you look at it from that perspective, you see the genius, in my opinion, behind the Daily Wire. Okay, let's look at the numbers right here and break this part down, all right? While people are saying that their number of subscribers has gone down, and it has, take a look at this. They have over 1.5 million paying members on Daily Wire Plus. That number is up from 1 million just 2 years ago and 600,000 2 years before that. So they've almost put 1 million paying members onto the roll right now. And if you could look this up for me, Anthony, what is an average membership a day, or what does a Daily Wire membership cost? Let's just take a look at this. In monthly income, what is a Daily Wire pulling in right now?
Daily Wire Plus membership costs around $15 a month.
Okay, so if we're looking at $15 times 1.5 million, what is that? 22 million. Oh. So, this is in my head. So $22 million a month.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Let me tell you what, folks, they figured it out before everybody else has. The number of views that you have, if you're trying to run a media company for growth right now, what you want doesn't matter nearly as much. The subscriber count doesn't matter nearly as much. It's everything that you do with your audience that matters. I'll give you another good example of this. There's two of them, all right? Take a look first at someone like PBD, Patrick Bet-David, and his podcast. He had this story, in fact, and I thought he missed something about his own show that has been very important. They're making money on shoes. They're making money on selling their events. They're making money on selling their coaching with PBD's podcast right now. They are not as focused, in my opinion, on making the money from the views and subs, but what you actually do with those views and subs once they get into your funnel. And Daily Wire has figured that out. So while Patrick Bet-David may be doing something like selling a conference, what they're saying on their end is that we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on really making great content for our people who mean the most to us, the people that are willing to invest into the Daily Wire. So people would say, well, Patrick, why are they having layoffs then? Because they're smart. Same reason that Meta has layoffs and Oracle has layoffs. And every tech and media company in the country is going to have layoffs before the end of 2026. We're reading into the fact that it's layoffs because it's the Daily Wire. And everybody would like to see a conservative newscast like that be wrong, especially a Ben Shapiro. The guy's fast talking, intelligent. Everybody is rooting against the guy. But what he has done is figured out the model right now before others have adjusted. Another great example of this is Alex Hormozi. Mm-hmm. If anyone has ever heard of Alex Hormozi, he got his gym launch. Everyone sees him. He's got the one with the nasal strip on his nose, kind of jack guy. He points this out in his book about gyms. One of the mistakes that gyms make is that they focus, let's just say your gym has 1,000 people that go to the gym. They focus on trying to make all 1,000 of them happy. When in reality, 800 of those people out of the 1,000 are not going to be coming to your gym that often. Mm-hmm. All right. They're going to come 1 to 2 days a week. They're going to pay their membership and fall off in 6 months, and they're going to go somewhere else. And they're just going to be on a constant rotation trying to get those. But 200 of those people are going to come regularly, maybe 4 to 5 times a week they're going to come. So what if you could get more out of that 200 people? What if you offered to them, instead of a $30 membership, a $150 premium membership? And for that, maybe they got some food plans and they got some one-on-one coaching and group classes that they were able to go for free. Maybe they got a discount on merchandise. There's a lot of things that you can offer to those people to get more out of that group. And what he's trying to say is that the cost of getting more out of that group of people far outweighs the cost of, or it's far less than the cost of trying to make everybody happy. And so if you're still going to get the same amount of money coming in, let's focus on the 200 down here at $150 rather than your 1,000 or whatever at $30. And you end up getting the same exact numbers. That's what the Daily Wire is doing. The Daily Wire is saying, yeah, we have to make cuts and we get that. But what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on great content. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing. We're going to lower the cost right now. And by the way, we have all this substantial, sustained, consistent income that's going to be coming in every single month. Daily Wire's figuring it out faster than everybody else. Everyone else is just looking at the headline. The Daily Wire, they are the ones who are going, okay, we can see the numbers below this and what's really happening when it comes to social media. I would not look into everybody, the views here, because everyone's saying, well, they're down 20,000 subscribers, I think is what they're going down about a month right now. Yeah. And they're increasing their number of paid members. And when I say subscribers, I'm talking about YouTube. Yeah, well, look at their membership though, right? They're not focused on those subscribers. They're trying to turn their current subscribers into members. And with that, they're winning. All right. You don't know how much money they're bringing in, everyone, just because you think that they laid off. Let's just say they laid off 100 people. There's about 200 people, they said, in the organization. Some estimates say that they laid off 100. Some are saying 50, whatever it is. Yeah, welcome to the party, Daily Wire. Everybody's laying people off. They're trying to do more with the same number of people or less. Lower the cost. And the easiest way to lower cost, get rid of all those big bloated salaries in media and do more with the same number or less people. And that's what the Daily Wire has figured out. That's why it's important. What do you think about that one, brother?
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because a lot of these companies that are profitable right now, they're laying off people, but it's like, it's not because they're less profitable, but they're just like, oh, why have 15 people when you could have one person or one AI do a job of 15? That's makes them more money. And it's not because they're not making money. They're just making more money trying to do this. And so interesting.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that we've seen this play out over and over again, right? We've already seen this story. We've seen it so many times, right? Like it started with last month with Oracle, 20,000 people. No one's saying that the company's going out of business. It's just one more cut that people have to make. It's part of what you have to do to be profitable. All right. Ford eventually had to make cuts. I mean, their car changed from the first Ford Model T that rolled out to the Ford that there is today. There's been a lot of technology that has improved. And so I'm sure there are people that lost their job. In the course of having progress, you have to be willing to adjust. You have to be willing to adjust as a team. I'm sure the Daily Wire, when they hired these people, didn't think that AI was going to do what it does. No one could have thought that. But what do? Just keep them on staff and you keep on eating the salaries right there? Or do you go ahead and say, we're going to adjust and build for the future right now? That's what they're doing. It's what Meta's doing. It's what Oracle's doing. It's what all these companies are doing. And if you don't do that, you get a Spirit Airlines, and then Spirit Airlines goes out of business. And you want to know why? Because they didn't adjust or they couldn't adjust. So I think you got to look below the headlines here for the Daily Wire to really get the real story about what's going on. Let's go to the next story right here, which is, I think is just really indicative of Hollywood in the United States. I think there was a time, Anthony, when Hollywood was revered by the average American. They would look at Hollywood and go, whew, these people, man, beautiful people. They must be their lives. I mean, what a beautiful thing. I want to live like that, right? I remember back in the 90s, like Beverly Hills, 90210, like California, like all of that stuff, the studios and all this different stuff, like beautiful people. You wanted to be involved with it, right? I don't think that's the case anymore, man. Last night, the Met Gala went down over in New York, and I'm reading through some of the stuff that is trending this morning. And like half the topics are about like movie stars and their outfits. What was it? Heidi Klum looked like she dressed like a statue last night. You had the one from who's that guy? Bad Bunny, I want to say, like looking like he's an old guy. Like the costume stuff I get, but the detachment from Americans is what I want to focus on. Because somewhere along the way, I mean, and it's glaring right now, Hollywood is so detached from American culture that it almost is offensive. Because I watch people like this paying $50,000 for a plate to go there to give to some foundation that nobody could ever care about, talking about fashion. All right. Meanwhile, the average American can barely pay to go to work right now because oil and gas prices have gone so damn high. It just seems like it is so out of touch with what reality is. Mm-hmm. And I can't believe that many Americans give them anymore. And when they look at this, it just is more of a demonstration to them of just how different my life is from somebody out there. And I think it used to be, Anthony, that before social media and access to Hollywood, there was a real fascination with this type of stuff because I feel like it was the only time that you would get to kind of peel back the curtain and see somebody off the big screen. Now, because there is such access over to these Hollywood stars all the time, I look at this as not like access, but just a further revelation of how different and weird and just detached these people are from what goes on in a daily American life. And I think that's why movies have begun to suck so bad. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not involved with it every day, if you have no concept of what goes on in the average American's life, and you're just living out in la la land, it's very difficult to create content, movies, and music that speaks to these type of people. And I think that's why you see a much more fractured media environment we're going to talk about the Anthony Bourdain story coming up, the Anthony Bourdain movie, with small studios beginning to dominate and streaming platforms dominating over other places. Mm-hmm. Because it allows for people that maybe still understand the average American to come in there and to write movies and to write scripts that can really talk to Americans. Instead of some of these people that I feel like are just such in their bubble that it's offensive. And to me, again, I don't watch it. I'm not a fashion guy, obviously, but I think that when people like Americans, like the average person, when they see this, it's just such a non-starter for them. And I think that it just like makes them hate Hollywood even more.
Yeah. And kind of going back to how you're saying with social media and access to all these people now, it's different than it used to be, where it's like 20 years ago when you'd want to see more about a certain actor, you'd see the Tonight Show or any of those shows and only see them for 5 minutes. And that's why Tonight shows are failing now, because a lot of them, there's no need for it because you have podcasts, you have all these different outlets, so you don't have to watch something live right at 9 o'clock at night and see it. You could see it 24/7, have access. And so it's definitely interesting now with, you can kind of see, I've noticed too, it's like a lot of these actors now, it's some of them started out and brand new to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And so they're saying some things that people don't really like, and it's all over, spreads like wildfire. And then they're gone the next year and they're just not part of Hollywood because it's just not saying the right things anymore. And
yeah, I do wonder, like, I mean, I go out there and we've been out there a couple of times in the last year, and what people, if you don't get a chance to go out there, like, as I'm probably conservative, right? I would say I'm conservative, right leaning, but go out there to California, go to LA. Okay. I still see the appeal to it. I get it. The people are beautiful. The weather's great. The scenery, and it's very open-minded. It's very inclusive. People are that way. Now, the ideology behind it is not something that I agree with, but I still get the appeal of being out there, right? Mm-hmm. The economics and the politics and the policy behind that ideology is destroying the state of California. But when I go out there, I still see why people want to live out there. I mean, it's gorgeous. The people are pretty. I mean, go to the gym in LA and everybody's gorgeous. All right. And it's a significant difference. And I live in Florida. If you can go into a gym in Florida and go to one in LA, whew, there's a difference. All right. Let me tell you. But yeah, I think you're right. The access that people now have to some of these stars, you feel like, well, in reality, you do. You can go online right now and you can go to Instagram and you can DM your favorite movie star. Are they going to see it? I don't know. You can tag them and stuff. You can do a lot of things that you weren't able to do back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and even the teen 2000s, that right now gives people unprecedented access over to those stars. But yeah, go through it. If you want a good laugh, go through and look at these stars and what they wore. Again, I'm sure that there are people that will disagree with me, but it just shows a real detachment from the average American that's really indicative of what type of movies and entertainment Hollywood is putting out, because it just doesn't speak to people, right? And that's why when you see stuff like Yellowstone and Dutton Ranch, Top Gun 3, we're going to talk about the Anthony Bourdain movie that's coming out. They stand out to you because they speak to something that has been lost. Does that make sense? Like, it's not there anymore. It's like this. We've talked about nostalgia on this show before. And what people like, when I look at these stories and I think like, okay, this is they've lost track of who they are. And Americans are starving for a return to Hollywood that speaks to them in a way that's meaningful. And that's why shows like this, or Top Gun 3, like, it's like, finally, someone made something for me where America's number one, the good guy freaking wins, all right? The bad guy is bad, and then we kick ass. Like, come on. Like, I feel like, to me, that's what it's about, brother.
Yeah. And
when I see the Met Gala, it just is further reflection of how Hollywood is not that. Okay? So there you go. There's my story on the Met Gala there for you, everybody. Now, the next one, I am so happy, Anthony. As you know, Delta's been in big negotiations with me lately as they listen to me give them advice on how they should run their airline. And I'm so happy they listen to my advice now. For those of you who are not aware, about a week ago, was it a week ago? I made this story. Okay. I was the first one to it, and everybody laughed at me. Everybody laughed, Anthony, and they said, this guy's crazy. What do you mean eliminate food and beverages off of airplanes? That could never happen. Well, what do you know? It did. All right. Delta has announced it will eliminate all food and beverage service on 450 daily flights. This story being broke across a number of different platforms. The changes, Anthony, are going to go into effect on May the 19th. Folks, I told you this was going to happen, and it is. Delta is going to stop offering food and drinks on hundreds of flights if they are under 350 miles. That's just going to be the start, and everybody knows it, all right? So it'll be passengers are not going to get their little peanuts or little crackers. What are those things? The little sweet,
Delta cookies.
the little cookies. Yeah. Not going to get those anymore, okay? And it's not an accident, Anthony, that this is being talked about after Spirit Airlines says that they're going under, all right? Every single CEO and board got together with managers and high-level decision makers over the past 5 days, and they went, I don't want to see this happen to my airline. What do we need to do to cut cost? How can we cut costs without cutting jobs? What will not matter? And what doesn't matter is the little tiny bit of food and your little Coke that you get on the airplane. Nobody ever just says, man, I was going to fly Delta, but man, American Airlines with those crackers that they got, I'm really going to pay the extra money for that.
You know what? I'm going to be against it.
I
love those Delta cookies.
No.
Those are
yeah, Anthony, you're killing me.
Dude, it's just like so nice. I'm just just chilling, and then like, oh, you want a little cookie? You want some Coke? I'm like, oh, heck yeah. It's awesome.
My Lord.
Man.
Sad. Oh, well, listen, I would love for there to be food on an airplane, okay? I'm looking for this right now. Let's see. Yep, okay. Child yep.
You know what? I think they should double down.
What are you thinking?
I think they should bring like a pizza. Like, you want a hot pizza on your flight?
Yeah.
We're going to give you want some chicken wings? We got some chicken wings cooking in the back.
I love it.
We'll give you whatever you want. Whatever food, 300 miles, I don't care. You get some pizza.
I love it. Now, Now, everybody does remember a time, or at least if you're over the age of 30, perhaps, there used to be a time where you could order decent food on an airplane. Especially if you're in business or first class, you could get a decent meal. All right. And they would heat it up for you. There would be heated up and they'd put it on the plane before you left. And still in first class, you can sometimes get something that's a decent meal. I don't fly first class. That's how we fly here. But I've been able to sit up there a couple times, been upgraded. And hey, good food that's up there. All right. Decent, I should say, decent, edible. It's actually maybe resembles a meal. But what you see with crackers and cookies and peanuts and Coke makes zero sense. And Anthony, here's why I don't like it. Why I'm so happy for someone like me who constantly is sitting in the aisle seat. All right, because I'm too big to sit in the corner in the window side. So if I sit in the aisle seat and we're booking the cheapest tickets, which we do here at Blue Collar, because we want to make sure that our clients get the savings, what do we get? I get me in the back middle, which means that everybody is going to pass me when they have to go to the bathroom because they're going to that back one, right? Because I'm toward the back towards the middle right there. So everybody's going past you. And what do you know? It's every time someone's like hitting my elbow and I'm trying to go like this, Anthony, I am. But half the time it's one of the flight attendants going back and forth on a 1-hour flight that they had to try to get this out because it's part of the passenger agreement, which I was reading the story and didn't understand that most of the time when you sign up, you are in fact getting services that are going to be guaranteed to you unless there's some kind of inclement weather and they can't do it. But in these passenger agreements, if you did get that agreement, then okay, you're going to want your little Coke and peanuts. And I guess you could file a complaint if they didn't give you what you were promised. But every time just knocking off as I go to pick up the trash 5 different times on a 1-hour flight. And I was just trying to get a little bit of rest before I got to Atlanta. For me, I love this. It's the beginning of the end for food on airplanes. I couldn't be happier. And I called it. So it's a great story right here. I know you're not happy about it, but I could not be more thrilled. And it's going to be right away.
I can understand your side though, because that'll be annoying if I was. But I'm a short guy.
But every time I go, I'm flying, I try to go like this.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason I do get the aisle seat is because I feel bad for the person in the middle because I want to be able to lean a little bit to give them a little bit more room that I can't do on the window side. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, though, if I lean a little bit that way, everybody's coming by. It's hitting me. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's their fault. They're just, those aisles are so small. And, maybe, you're trying to watch where you're stepping anyway, make sure you don't fall into somebody. But I love the fact that they're moving on from the food and we can finally start to see this take hold in other places. It'll start with 350. It'll go to like 750. It'll go to all, maybe 1,000, and then it'll just be cross-country flights that have any kind of food, and then it'll be gone. I would say by the end of the year. They will do a phased rollout of this on all airlines. Now that Delta is doing it, American will. Everybody's going to do it. Delta's just the first because now if you're not competing against it, why would I keep it as a cost? Nobody is going, okay, I'm going to fly American now because I'm going to get my peanuts. All right. Nobody is.
Yeah, because I know Delta is usually like the king of that, where it's like giving out free.
So really good stuff right there. I love the fact that this is happening. I'm so happy that Delta consulted with me. They probably saw our reel. That's what it was, Anthony. Delta saw our reel, no doubt. I'm sure I have a message from the Delta CEO somewhere in my email.
Listen.
I mean, they're like, hey, Patrick, we saw your reel and we listened to you. And I'll be like, thank you, Delta President. I appreciate it. And American Airlines, if you want to send us a message too, Southwest, everybody, listen, we give our free advice over here for businesses every single day. So there you go. I'm sure the rest of them will follow suit. The next story I want to get to here is Cinco de Mayo, everybody. If you didn't know, today is Cinco de Mayo. Happy May the 5th. For a lot of people, this is going to mean one thing, which is what? Alcohol, everybody. So one of the things I wanted to talk about with Cinco de Mayo, just real quick, this is 100% a holiday for Americans. This is not something that's a holiday for Mexican heritage or independence, in fact. Big misconception about Cinco de Mayo is that it is not Mexican Independence Day. It is one of the most common misconceptions about the holiday. Mexico's Independence Day is celebrated on when? September the 16th. Commemorating the day of 1810. And the famous, I never pronounce the speech correctly here, but there's a famous speech that was given And then that sparked a movement, and it freed Mexico from Spanish rule. That was the big deal when it comes to Mexican independence. So basically, America took a holiday. We threw some tequila and some Mexican beer into this thing, and we just said, let's just have ourselves a celebration. And so when I look at this, it's not even really celebrated in Mexico. People think this has got to be some big holiday and big party. It's not even a national holiday in Mexico. And so when I look at that right now, I think, all right, well, what a great day for Americans to get out there, drink some Dos Equis and some Coronas, and then, some salsa chips and all the stuff that I guess, I don't know, is not traditional Mexican. I don't know how to say this. Yeah, I just found it fascinating that people think that we're out here celebrating Mexican independence when it doesn't even celebrate that. I'd want to know this, Anthony. How much is there, like a percent? I wonder if it's over under 1% of Coronas are sold for Cinco de Mayo. I just wonder how much, because there's got to be so many Coronas that get bought for Cinco, sold for Cinco. No?
There's not really a typical percent.
Okay.
Doesn't say.
I would wonder that. How many Cinco de Mayo Dos Equis and Coronas are sold? Like, how many Coronas get sold on?
But it does say beer sales on Cinco de Mayo, heavily driven by Corona and Modelo, often generate over $700 million in revenue. So
Modelo, Dos Equis, and Corona are just about to get an infusion of sales today from American culture that has reappropriated Mexican independence to basically celebrate a good old drinking day. I wonder how many of those beers are sold. Like, if there's a number to understand how many millions of those beers are sold on Cinco de Mayo.
There you go.
What do you got?
145 million bottles.
Woohoo! Of all three combined?
No, let's see. This one's Corona.
Okay, how many you say?
145 million.
145 million bottles of Corona are about to be downed today, everybody, because we are reappropriated Mexican Independence Day for American drinking. It is the craziest thing, and we continue to do it. There's no signs of stopping. But we're going to drink hundreds of millions of bottles of beer between Dos Equis, Corona, Modelo. All of them are getting down today, probably 250 million bottles in America. And we don't even know what we're celebrating. And so you're going to see Americans talk about, the independence, the July 4th, if you will, of Mexico. And folks, that is not the case at all. So a really interesting holiday here. I will not be celebrating it tonight. But I feel like, man, I'm a little jealous of the people that can. Nothing like going out on a Tuesday and getting your drink on right now, folks.
Taco Tuesday.
Man, it's right. Taco Tuesday is tonight. What a great coincidence for everybody. It's going to be awesome. Last story one is one that's near and dear to my heart, Anthony. I saw this pop up on my feed, and I was so freaking excited about this. You got a chance to watch the preview, right?
Yeah.
So Anthony Bourdain's life is coming to the big screen this August, everyone. A24 has released the first trailer for Tony. It's it's a celebration, in my opinion, of a small portion of the life of Anthony Bourdain. For those of you who didn't know Anthony Bourdain, he was that show Parts Unknown, where he would go to different parts of the world and sample food. He was very eccentric. There was something about him that really drew people to his taste for culture and his taste in food, but it was just so much deeper than that. And tragically, back in 2018, he took his own life at the age of 61, leaving this world with a hole that, in my opinion, has not been filled within that community yet. Not sure that ever will be. Very unique personality. But this is about, Anthony Bourdain when he gets his first job in a kitchen. And you've got Antonio Banderas, who plays this kind of master chef that is mentoring. It's Dominic Sessa, who stars as Bourdain. It is set in Provincetown, Massachusetts. Like I said, where young Bourdain, who's 19 years old, gets his first job in a kitchen and ultimately changes his entire life and really changes food and culture across the world. Anthony Bourdain, man, at his peak, I would have loved. We didn't get a chance to see so many things. I would have loved to know his opinion on so many different things today or during the pandemic or on food and culture. We just never got a chance to see. Now this movie is going to, in my opinion, I saw the trailer, it looks really good, is going to help capture a little bit of, I hope, the eccentric and captivating side of Anthony Bourdain. I imagine that for someone like a Dominic Sessa that we have right here, very difficult role because so many people that are going to go see it will be comparing him to Anthony Bourdain. I look forward in the months to come to hearing a little bit about what he probably did to prepare for this role. I'm sure that he had to go speak with the family, which I know is the case. The family has commented, in fact, on the video or on the movie. So they have seen it. And it looked to me that there was positive feedback from the family. And they did point out that this is a how would I put this? Maybe you want to say an artistic. They've taken some leeway here, Anthony, because there's parts of his life that nobody does know, right? You don't know every single part of this part of his life that is 19 years old. So from what they know, they've been able to put in some, let's say, creative freedom into this thing. And they've developed a story here of this 19-year-old Anthony Bourdain. I love this. And I, again, go back to the bigger point that we make here on this show, that we have an era right now of people that is starving for the good old days. Nostalgia is what people are looking for. And whether it be Top Gun or Landman or Yellowstone or Dutton Ranch or an Anthony Bourdain movie, Tony, what we have is we have people that want a return to the values and the days of old, if you will. And even if those days of old were 10 years ago, people are starving for that. And I think we're going to continue to see this trend in movies, continue to see it in culture, as people get more and more fractionalized in how they consume content. What they really want is to feel like they're part of something again. And that part of something is days of long ago, right? Or the feeling that they got from something. And this movie is going to touch on that because I believe it's not only going to touch on who Anthony Bourdain was and people will feel connected to that person, but also it goes back to Anthony Bourdain at 19 years old, a simpler time in good old Massachusetts. And that's, in my opinion, going to be very, very special to watch. So everyone, that is our show for the day. We've got a lot of great stuff we were able to cover. What do you got?
Ooh,
Talk to me.
Did you see, I guess there's like a military ship, or not military ship, but a military plane.
What do you got?
Looks like it went missing.
Military plane has gone missing, everyone. Let's take a look at this. We are looking right now, folks. We have a military plane that looks to have gone missing right now. This is the one that looks like they was it Mayday or?
Yeah, they had like an emergency. I guess it's they can't find the plane.
Interesting. Let's go to the newest. We got them an hour ago. U.S. military plane declares an emergency near Qatar. This coming from the Iranian state media. It looks like it has been verified by a few other sources, but the Iranian media reported the U.S. military fueling aircraft declared an emergency, this according to Newsweek, while flying over Qatar. Flight tracking data cited by Iran's semi-official Fars news agency showed U.S. Air Force KC-135 transmitting a 7700, I don't know how you say that, general distress signal before disappearing from tracking screens over Qatar. The aircraft, often described as a flying gas station, is reportedly taken off from the United Arab Emirates. Very scary stuff right here. Interesting. Let me see. hasn't landed though.
No, there's a video of it of the radar where it's circling around and then it just kind of disappears. Let me see if I can send it to you.
Yeah, looking at this right now, I'm looking to see, where does it stand currently right now as we're about halfway through the day right here. We're at noon Eastern as we look for what exactly is happening with this huge plane. It's like a refueling plane. So you always see those great, like when they do the Navy stuff, like where they had the plane and the big tube that goes down the other ones, they're fueling the plane. And from what I understand, this is one of those planes that does that. It's like a refueling plane up there in the sky. And then we've got a Mayday distress that happens right here. And then the plane has disappeared from the radar. Very interesting stuff that we have right here. Okay. So that I'll keep an eye on this story right here. I know we will. I got to get over to a meeting right now. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens if these planes turn up, or if something has happened that's just, the unthinkable over here where something, for God forbid, they've been shot down. So let's keep an eye on this story over the next couple of days or the next day, 24 hours. I'm sure we'll know a lot more by the show tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Patrick Carr Show. Great time here today. A lot of great stories. And so sorry, don't get your snacks anymore on Delta. See y'all tomorrow, everybody.